This is the Algebra 1 Unit 1 Skill 13 video. We're almost to the end of this. There's just one more video after this, and then you'll be able to take the test. So this kind of brings together, again, some concepts we learned in some previous skills, and it is going to teach us about how we apply what we've learned to add and subtract fractions. So in order to add fractions together, they have to have the same denominator. So if I were to add 2/3 and 7/3, they make 9/3 because they're all in terms of thirds. So the fact that these are the same make it okay for me to just add that together. But if I have 2/3 plus 3/4, I cannot just add that together because they are not in the same terms. Thirds and fourths are different things. So I can't just go adding these numbers together and saying, all right, I'm done. And definitely the answer is not 5/7, as some people might tell you. Definitely not. You might want to do that. That is definitely not how adding fractions works. Because in order to add these fractions, I have to find the least common denominator first. And then I can add them up because they'll have the same denominator. And we know that if they have the same denominator, they can be added together. So we're going to do that first. So if you need to go back and watch that video, you should do so. But the least common denominator is found by finding the least common multiple of the denominators. So it's using that concept. So that means I need to list out the multiples of 3 and the multiples of 4 until I find one they have in common. 3, 6, okay, nothing yet, 9, and there we go. So we see that they both have a 12. So that means 12 is my least common denominator. So let's jump down here and we are going to convert 2/3 into 12ths, and we're going to convert 3/4 into 12ths. And we're going to do that by multiplying by the same number. So because it took from 3 times 4 to get to 12, I'm also going to multiply 2 times 4 to get an 8 right there. And because 4 times 3 gave me 12, I'm going to multiply 3 times 3 on the top to get 9. And so now, instead of doing 2/3 plus 3/4, I'm actually going to do 8/12 plus 9/12. And now, because these are the same denominator, all I have to do is add the numbers on the top, and I get an answer of 17/12. And that would be the final answer. So just to kind of walk us through the steps again, we're going to start by finding the least common denominator, also known as the least common multiple, of the denominators of my fractions. Then I'm going to convert those fractions into fractions that have that denominator that we found. You do that by multiplying by the same number on the top and the bottom. Once you do that, you can simply add the numerators or the tops of the fractions to find the final answer. So that is pretty much every problem in this lesson. You need to start by finding the least common multiple or the least common denominator of 4 and 7, then convert each fraction into whatever that denominator is, and then add the numerators together to find the final answer. So I'm going to do one other example of this just so you can see. Let me erase all this. Sorry about that. All right, so let's do another example of my least common denominator. So let's say I was going to add 1/5 plus 3/6. All right, so again, we want to add these together. Actually, let's change this to a subtraction problem. Let me go back. Let's do 3/6 minus 1/5. Sorry about that. So first things first, we're going to find the least common denominator. We're going to do 6 and 5. And 6 is going to be, and we already found this one from our previous lesson, but 6 is 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 5 is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and there we go. So 30 is my least common denominator. So I'm going to go down here and make 30 for both. And since it's 6 times 5 to make 30, 3 times 5 makes 15. And since 5 times 6 makes 30, 1 times 6 goes like that. And then since they're the same, I'm going to keep the 30 and do 15 minus 6, which is 9 over 30. And we need to remember that I think they would like us to simplify, but maybe not, but we'll do it anyway. So if I want to simplify 9 over 30, I can see they're both divisible by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 30 divided by 3 is 10. And so this would be a simplified fraction of 9 over 30. So one of those two would work as an answer for that. So that's the least common denominator process for solving for the addition or subtraction of fractions. And that whole lesson is just problems like that.